Hi guys, Real Hi-Fi Help here. I'm gonna give you guys some very good insight into how to handle the room around the speaker. I'm giving you a quick tour of my room here, just around the system, just to quickly cover some basics, because I constantly see people making a lot of the same mistakes, and I want to give you guys some insight because I've tried so many different rooms, like hundreds and hundreds of rooms. And I want to give you guys the really, really good tips that you guys need in order to make the sound working. So notice that, can you see that you've got a left speaker over here and a right speaker over there? There is approximately circa 4.5, 5 meters between those speakers. I feel that generally for most medium to big size speakers, that's about the limit of what you want to go with. Now, if you start putting this speaker here all the way to about there, okay, so you have from here to that speaker, only leaving 3 meters. What that will do is it will make it more difficult for you hearing the left and the right channel, right channel over there being separated. Okay, so that's not optimal. It's kind of gonna simplify the sound, so that's not good. Also, if the left speaker over here has several meters over here, and you can see in my room here, I don't even have a proper left wall here. That's gonna create a lot of imbalance in the sound. Okay, so let me just quickly show you something here, and that is that we've got the right speaker right here, as you can see in the picture, right there. And notice the fact that I have a back wall and sort of a, what do you call it, a quarter box solution here. We've got support from the back wall, and you've got the side wall past the speaker here. Okay, and with my room it stops at about here, but that's actually okay. That you can work with stuff like that. And in theory I could actually put a speaker in here that would go to around here, around there, and that would be fine. That would be fine. Not optimal, but that would be like okay. So what I see with some people, what they do is that they get this room, and the room already ends at around here. You can see with where my hand is. That's not good. You want the side wall to go past the speaker, well past it, at least 0.5 meter to 1 meter past it. Because if you don't do that, you don't get this whole supportive wall propelling the sound towards you, okay? If it ends at around here or here or here, it's all kind of bad. Of course, it's slightly better going from here to here, okay? But it's not optimal. And I know several people that have walls that end around this area here, where the speaker is here. And then they've got curtains here, or an open area, or, goes into another room here or whatever. That's not a good solution. Okay, that's not gonna help you guys. And the thing is, you want it's a thing that nobody really does. Not a lot of people do, but having an inside wall helps you a hell of a lot. And especially the smaller your speaker is, the more it helps support the sound, so you get a more organic, full, rich sound. Okay, so These are empty boxes. Empty down there, empty here, and up here it's full. And if I just had those boxes and they were all empty, this whole thing would be rattling while the speaker was sending sound waves towards me. So I've managed to cement it, and you can actually change the weight inside of these things and change the sound characteristic of it. Okay, that's important to remember. If I put glass or anything in there, you can to some degree hear that. If I put, a small amount of Lego building blocks in it, you can to some degree hear that. But notice the fact that I've built this thing up to around here. I could possibly build it 1 or 2 layers up, but it would change the sound. Okay, and here's what I'm trying to get at. If I build this thing too far up, see, if I build this thing too far up, the whole right channel that you're looking at right now will become typically too isolated, too boxed, too boomy in sound. So the fact that there is air from the speaker, at around this level ish, that's able to travel over to the other speaker here, it actually makes a difference, a very positive difference. So what I wanted to say is that, let's just go back so you can have a look at the entire setup here. If I were to place these speakers here, left speaker here, right speaker here, if they only were half the distance from each other, and I had a giant piece of furniture in the middle here, occupying all the way here, and then all the way up to the roof, ceiling, sorry. It wouldn't sound as natural as it does right now. Just letting you guys know. Yes, I keep saying that you should have inner walls, but to some degree where there's some balance. Now, I've tried taking this inner wall here, as you can see in the picture. If I stack that up to, or like an extra box on top of this, and possibly an extra box here, it's going to kind of lose a bit of that freedom in the sound. It's gonna get a bit too isolated, boxy, and boomy over here. It's gonna dominate a bit. So just want to tell you guys that it's good to have boxes like I've created here, over here, and over here. And depending on the speaker that you have some boxes. Build them up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, depending on how big your speaker is, and move them back and forward to find what is the right distance. Right now, I have about 3/4 of a foot between the boxes here and the speaker. For me, in my room, that's fine. I can't really tell you exactly what you should do in your room, but when you have boxes, you basically have the freedom to regulate how much space you want, how much mid-range, how much treble. It gives you a balance so that you can create the sound that you want to. So you don't have to necessarily buy a speaker that costs 1.5 to 3 times more, and that's a really good tip for you guys. So notice the fact that these boxes here, okay, these are like my old VHS recordings on DVD that I ripped. Those are heavy. Those are heavy AF. So all of this stuff together weighs like, I would say, 4 times more than over here. And believe me, guys, you can actually hear that. So if I were to remove these 3 boxes that are really heavy, DVD boxes, if I were to remove that and replace them just with two other boxes like this underneath, it would make the left channel less silenced. So I've got probably what's like, I don't know, 40, 50 kilos right here on the left side. And that actually silences the left speaker a bit. And just think, when you have a wooden floor like me, that's when it's really relevant, parketgulv, that they call it in Danish, this thinner wooden floors, they're even more sensitive. I have a thickish piece of what's it called? Wooden floor. It's about I would say about 1 inch thick. So that also affects the sound. And what I have here is not optimal. You can see it goes in about a meter from the speaker to the window. It's not optimal, but it was what I was able to create in my situation. And it's a very, very good compromise. It took me several years to find this special acoustic. So I just want to say, this thing goes in over here, and this thing is kind of, the opposite. So it's not optimal, but in my situation, I have actually managed to make it sound pretty good. Um, Pretty good. So yeah, it just telling you guys, you can save a hell of a lot of money just by having a wall here. And of course, the speaker has to then move over here. Just saying, when you have problems like this, it usually costs a bit of money and involves a lot of tinkering. And I just want to say, in case you guys were wondering, what the hell am I doing here? That's a blanket. I put it over there. And guess why? We've got a base port at the back. Down there. And that creates a certain form of reverberation, or whatever you call it. And before, when this wasn't covered, it would kind of pop up in the the window, and it would excite the music a bit too much, so it got a bit too bouncy, a bit too much energy in certain frequency areas. So that's what I did, and it seemed to make basically the background more black, more silenced. So yeah, that's also a neat trick that you can actually learn from. And just with these speakers here that I have, that's the distance, that's the distance that I have to the wall. It's about a grown man hand distance to the wall. I find that to be very appropriate with this particular speaker. Of course, it's different from speaker to speaker. Actually, when I had the Fender Steen 1CIs, this would actually be a tiny bit too much. I'd have to go like half of that distance. So just letting you guys know that something to think about, or something that you actually want to consider. And yeah, I know that some of my critics hate it when I say keep those speakers close to the wall, to the back wall here. I call this the back wall. Some call it the front wall, whatever. Keep it closer to that wall. Keep it closer to that wall to boost the sound. Yeah, within reason. You don't, with certain speakers, you don't want to put them too close to the back wall and the side walls. But I would say that generally, let's just say that you have the sound, you think it's a bit muddy, you think it's a bit closed in, of course, then you want to probably pull them closer towards yourself so it frees up the speaker too much. But what I'm seeing a lot, because of people going to shows, looking at other people's setups, is that you get too much air around the speaker. And when you get too much air around the speaker, the treble and the mid-range, which usually is like the weakest part of the speaker, has to kind of work overtime, and when it has to work overtime, it doesn't matter if it gets more clear and airy and big, the soundstage, you're gonna have a sound that's typically less organic, less warm, less comfortable, and it's gonna suck out a lot of the bass. So I'm just saying, you have to find out what's right and wrong for your own situation. This is what worked well in my situation. And I just want to let you guys know that in my 50 square meter room here, try and go over here. My 50 square meter room, as you can see here, it's almost 50. I would, if I didn't have this hole over here, I would probably be able to propel the sound a couple of square meters more, simply because there's a wall supporting the speaker. The fact that I don't have a left wall here kind of removes a lot of the pressure in the sound, a lot of that boosted bass and mid-range that's very helpful. So I mean, yeah, I've got a 10-watt amp on a very efficient speaker. It helps a huge deal, but I'm just saying, there's so many people that just don't have a left wall. They don't have really a wide wall, a right wall, and it just it's not optimal. It's not optimal. You really want, with basically all speakers in the world, this half box solution here, where it goes like here, all the way here, and then over here. And the fact that I have an open door here, I can close it if I want to, and of course it changes the sound. It creates more pressure in the room. That's of course not optimal, but it still makes the sound a hell of a lot better. And I just want to say to you guys that it's important. It's important to let the speakers breathe in between each other, so that there is air, but that you still to some degree have an inner wall. So if I were to take this whole box solution, or if I had a cupboard or whatever, and it went over the speaker all the way over here, it would not be optimal. Would not be optimal. And especially if I had a piece of furniture that went all the way up to the ceiling, it would not be optimal. Getting that, getting the airwaves where it has the freedom in between the speakers is actually very important. I don't think I've mentioned that before in my videos. And yeah, not optimal that over in left area here, that it ends around here, while at the other spot here I have, the entire right side. There's a bit of a ceiling going the other way. It's not optimal. It's not optimal. Optimally, this thing would go completely up that way. That wooden thing behind wouldn't be there, because that also creates a tiny bit of negotiation in the sound. That's not optimal. And just want to let you guys know, when you can get these half box rooms, go for that. You might have a small room that's only 20, 22, maybe even less square meters. It may look ugly. Okay, I get it. You might want to instead go for like one of your bigger rooms that has 30, 35, 40, 50 square meters. But just remember, if you have those big rooms and you have these sort of flaws that I have, or even worse, where it opens up to a completely different room over here that's 10, 20, 30 square meters, that's going to really kill your sound. So a lot of good advice for you guys. I hope you liked it. Like and subscribe if you can. This is me logging off. Have a nice day.